Edward Cheserek, the defending champ, but not in this race this time, and Isaac Yorks has the collegiate best so far this season. He also not in this race, but plenty of good milers are. Discuss them here at Dwight and Larry.
All right, John, first of two heats in the men's mile. And from Virginia, that is junior Henry Wynn. He is going to be starting out of lane 1.
And he went to Staples High School in Westport, Connecticut, and just had a terrific high school career. A 4:05 miler, and he's gone down to Virginia and continued his great run, Dwight, running 3:58 earlier this year.
On the outside for Boise State, the senior David Elliott.
And there is Elliott. Boise State has a former sub-4-minute miler head coach, Corey Emmels, who's got a great woman and a great guy here. And David Elliott. Elliott's run 3:57 and change. And we've had 35 athletes this year get under 4 minutes for the mile. Some of them foreigners, most of them Americans, indoors. Just staggering figures. It's never been that high a number in the history of indoor collegiate running to run sub-4.
That's how all 8 athletes will line up in this first of the 2 heats. The top 4 finishers will automatically advance to tomorrow's final, and then the next 2 fastest times over the 2 heats. They're looking for a 10-runner final. Of course, many of these athletes in multiple events, so they will attempt to qualify using as little energy as possible. That's not always reality.
You know, I was going to comment on that, Dwight. When I look back historically over many years, I'm struck with how these heats in the mile are quite quick. They don't usually get under 4 minutes, and that's not the goal. The goal, as you say, is to run more slowly and tactically, but the goal is to also make the final. So they tend to run a very solid pace, and it's often winning a heat anywhere from 4:01 and change to 4:04 with a kick is what happens over the last 2 laps.
As Anna Zauri, the senior from Cal State Northridge from out in Southern California, my neck of the woods, leading with Julian Oakley, the Providence senior, right next to him.
And this pace has sagged a bit. It has turned into a strategic kickers race. These guys run so fast, I might add, they're not races that they get under 4 minutes in around the country at the fastest tracks. The coaches want them to qualify for the finals here. They're actually almost more like time trials. The goal is to just get down there. Here we are, to talk about a slower pace, 65 plus for the first 440 yards.
Of course, you always worry at that slow pace because the athletes have to have some room to run. And they sometimes are bunched up so closely together that they have to be very careful to avoid each other.
Providence College's Julian Oakley right up on the shoulder here. You know, in a way, when you want to try and slow it down, you can't guarantee it, but you run beside somebody. You run in lane 2, not a good thing, but you keep the pace very modest. And he is from New Zealand and was a 4:11 high school 1,600-meter runner down in New Zealand was Oakley.
A lot of athletes running the extra distance out in lane 2, and in the turns, of course, that adds quite a bit of distance. On the outside, that's Jonah Koech of UTEP, who is getting a little bit tired of this pace, but he doesn't make the pass. On the inside, Henry Wynn now on the outside of lane 2 and into lane 3.
Yeah, this is, you know, you really run 4 or 5 extra steps if you're on the edge of lane 3. We come up to 800 meters. Now I'll call it 880 because this is the mile run. We're talking 2:12. So, okay, it'll be fireworks here. If you get a slow first half, now the race is underway.
Henry Wynn now taking the lead and certainly upping the ante. Wynn continuing to be followed closely by Zauri and Oakley, but everyone is in this race as we come up with 3 laps remaining. Koech now into the lead.
You know, Dwight, Koech is a guy I've got my eye on here. He's only a freshman at UTEP, but he had a terrific indoor season, got down to 3:58 did Koech. I think he could be trouble for some of the big guns in this race here by the final tomorrow.
David Elliott now on the shoulder of Koech. And some real running is going to be going on as we have a little more than a quarter of a mile to go. Again, just the top 4 finishers across the line automatically qualify. And this is not likely going to be a heat where you will qualify through on time.
3:13 through 3/4 of a mile. Wow, this last 440 yards is going to be fun. Koech still not all out, but they have definitely picked things up here, folks. Now they're flying.
Elliott trying to match him stride for stride, but running the extra distance on the edge of lane 2. Coming up at just 200 meters remaining. Here comes the bell. And Elliott has run a lot of extra distance. Wynn now trying to approach the outside. Passing in the turn as he is trying, but still remains in 4th.
Top 4 advance.
Again, this is not likely to be a heat where you would qualify on time, so 5th place is probably out of the final here. Koech continuing the lead over Elliott. Wynn is there. And also it looks like Thomas Awad of Penn. No, that is Sam Prakel of Oregon. And of course, Oregon's team hopes into as many as they can get into the final. Looks like Prakel did manage to get in on that 4th automatic qualifying position. Awad of Penn. We're looking to see the actual results. And when you have that slow a pace, you're going to have a crash the last quarter of a mile to try and get across the line. 4:07.50 is the official winning time for Jonah Koech.
And that last, and most of it was on the last 205. So you can see these are very fast tracks, nicely banked, great bounce that you get, and almost a foot across, including Wynn.
Prakel is out. He is 5th. He has to wait and see. Hope that the next heat goes as slow.